up, guys? Welcome back to episode 10? 9? One of them, of the Cayeluhb Podcast. I am joined here today by my good friend Mike, and Mike and I are going to talk about some very exciting questions. So before we get into the episode, I want to preface this by saying, again, I am not a professional by any means, nor am I qualified to really talk about anything that is really beyond the surface level of just like a simple question. I have no qualifications for this. This is just me spouting out my thoughts, and if you disagree with anything I say, feel free to comment, feel free to send me an email about it, and maybe you'll come on and we'll talk it out, because that's what I really want this to be, a forum for discussion. And if you have any questions or comments, please send them to dbdcayeluhb@gmail.com, dbdcaleb@gmail.com. I do need questions. I need a lot more of them. It can be literally anything, and you can choose whether or not to have your name in it. It can remain anonymous if you so choose, so please send over your questions. Mike, why don't you tell the crowd a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hi, I'm Michael. I run cross country, run track. I'm a distance runner. I am qualified. I am a professional. No. I like playing Rocket League. I like Skittles, and my favorite color is blue.
It's like your new
right?
blue shirt. Mike has a nice blue long sleeve running shirt that he wears every day.
It's teal.
Okay, our first question comes from last week's guest. Shout out to you, Justin. And Justin asks, what are your thoughts on competitive running shoes? So I'm just going to give a little bit of background if some of you are listening and, you aren't a serious runner. I'm sure most of you have heard about the sub 2 hour marathon that was run by Cayeluhb Kipchoge. And correct me if I'm wrong on this, Mike, but there's a lot of controversy surrounding his time because the shoes he wore had what's called a carbon fiber plate in them. So basically he was just getting a lot more springiness out of his shoes than a normal runner would get in normal shoes. And there's a lot of controversy as to whether or not they should be allowed in professional running.
Yeah. So in the shoes that he was wearing, there were 2 carbon plates. So both of those were definitely probably the biggest aspect that that contributed to the time that he ran. There are other aspects like pacers and nutrition and how nutrition was given to him while people were biking beside him, and also the pacing car at the front. But the shoes, I don't think the shoes should be good at all. Like, I don't think that it should be qualified as a 2-hour marathon. Because these shoes they're pretty insane, like even the modern one. Like I don't think having the mechanical advantage over other people should be allowed in competitive running.
Okay, I'm gonna come at it from a different perspective, where I think they should be allowed, but they should be encouraged to be used. So you have, rather than no one wearing them and leveling the playing field, you have everyone wearing them and leveling the playing field, because then times are going to be faster, the sport is going to be more exciting.
I think that the sport is more based off pushing the human limits and not pushing the mechanical ability of shoes, rather than how fast a person. So then
why don't we run in bare feet?
I mean, that would just injure someone. So if you have like normal shoes, it's a hard thing to stay balanced on from. Right. So I'm not really sure if there should be like a set 7 pair of shoes that you could wear, or if anybody could wear any shoes, but they have to fit a certain like standard. But I don't think that the carbon plate should be allowed at all.
And the other thing about if you like were to enforce that certain people can wear like only certain shoes, like in professional level running, for example, me on our team, my ankles are really, really bad. They're terrible ankles, and so I was running my sophomore year in a shoe that didn't have a lot of support. It didn't really support me that well because I didn't need it at that time. I was running in a Brooks Ghost. And then I started to develop tendonitis in my ankle coming into the summer of my senior year. So I went up to a Saucony, and the Sauconys had a lot of support. And then by mid cross season, the support had helped me to the point where I downgraded to a New Balance with a bit less of support. But then by the end of cross season, my ankles were feeling really frail again, so I went back up to Saucony. So the thing about, like, if you tell everyone there's only one specific pair you can use, that's not going to suit everybody's feet, because some people need more support than others.
Yeah. So, I think that the variety of shoes that you could wear is very important. So like some people have some things tailored to their specific feet, which is really important in running, especially to not getting injured, and also just being comfortable overall. But it'd be hard to give everyone the mechanical advantage, like giving every company the opportunity to put a carbon plate in every single shoe. That would be really difficult already. So I don't think it should be based off the shape of your foot is how good of a runner you'll be. So I think that it should be changed so everybody has the same chance of being a fast runner.
That's fair. So let me ask you this then: where would you draw the line?
I don't know. I kind of like the idea that the World Athletics Association has been putting. So it's based off the density of the carbon plate, the number of carbon plates, the thickness of the sole, and there's so many like standards that it has to hit. But I think that any carbon plate is bad. Okay. And I think the thickness of the sole would also be very important.
Right, because like Hoka, like you're running in platform shoes. When you're running in Hokas, you get so much cushion in those.
Yeah, so I think once you're racing, I don't think anybody really cares about getting injured unless it's like your first meet or a time trial or something. So I don't think anyone's really too worried about having too thin of shoes during a race, unless you're someone that's like really prone to injuries and you're just running for fun. So I don't think the thickness is as important as the carbon plate or plastic. I think plastic has a big effect as well, like the Dragonflies. So I think that the shoes were in pro running. The shoes are probably the most controversial and the biggest aspect of faster times recently.
Well, that and doping. I was actually. I
mean,
I was gonna ask you about your opinion on the Dragonflies. For those of you that don't know and aren't serious runners, basically there are really like there are more than three, but just for the purpose of today, you really have like three types of shoes in running. You have trainers, you have flats, and you have spikes. And trainers are what you run like every day in. Flats are what you'll run your harder days in, and if you're running a longer distance, you'll wear those. And flats have less support than trainers. And then you have spikes, which you wear in shorter distances. I think like the longest event that you should probably wear the spikes in is like a 10K. Anything longer than that, you're probably just going to destroy your calves. But they have like next to no support. So Nike came out with a sprinting spike called the Dragonfly. And I wanted to ask you your opinion on that and the use of plastic in that.
I think plastic, obviously, it's way better than carbon, but also the expensiveness, the cost of the shoes, especially for high school runners, like having the price be so high, and just giving runners with more money have that slight advantage over people that wouldn't be able to get these really expensive mid-distance shoes. But I do think the plastic is not okay at all.
So you are very much so anti.
I'm anti anything but foam. Unless it's like plastic to support the shoe, or to like plastic to put spikes in, like that's fine. But like if it's not rubber or foam, I don't think that it should be available to people.
That's fair. So I've actually thought about this like too, and I've also thought about like what if there were two separate leagues, right? Where you had one that's just like it would be like the Olympics, and it would be pro running, and it would be like you said, like pushing human bodies to the limit. So no special shoes, no doping allowed, none of that. But then in the other league, these people are allowed to take as many steroids as they want. They're allowed to wear whatever shoes they want, and using the mechanical advantage, using the human legs, see how fast a human being can possibly go.
So, the thing is, I don't know how the best runners in the world, like which group they would want to go in. So in wrestling, people would change weight classes because other weight classes were too hard. Like there's better people in them, so they would change a weight class. So then they would have easier people to beat. So then they have a higher chance of winning a national title, winning states, or winning anything. So if you have all the pro runners in one, with all the pro runners in the no doping, no carbon plate shoes group, I don't know if some would shift over and then it would balance out, or if all of them would shift over at the same time, or if they would all stay in the first one.
And then the other question is, how morally ethical is it to do that? Yeah, that's a tough one. But we've talked about this for 10 minutes, which I'm glad about. This is a good question, so thank you, Justin. I think we really get a lot out of that. Moving on to something a bit lighter and a bit easier. This question comes from Ursula, and Ursula asks, what is the ugliest name you can think of? So something you would definitely not name your kid.
I was thinking about this before. We talked about it a little bit on Discord. I said Agatha. Anything that has like a G, like
no G, like
so
Gertrude.
Like, no G's. No Gertrude. No Georgia. Not Georgia, but no George.
Poor George.
Love you, George. What about you?
Well, I definitely wouldn't want to name any of my kids Connor.
Agreeable.
I hate the name Connor. Ugh.
Connor.
No. I'm okay with that one. It's Connor, and then like if they're no way. Especially not if they ran and they were a freshman. Ugh, ew. But seriously though, like there are a few obvious ones that right off the bat I'm not naming my kid Adolf.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. Like, for me, I'd probably do like to name my kid. I'd do something with a religious meaning. So like, I'm trying to think of like something that's religious, but that's stupid. I wouldn't want a plain name. Like, I wouldn't want my kid to be named like Matt or Joe or like Nate. Sorry, Nate.
Doug.
Yeah, Doug. But like that's like I have a lot of friends who have those names, but like I just feel like I don't know, like that's just like I don't like common names. I would want something unique for my kid.
Like a place name or like a name of a place like India
no,
or
India.
Brooklyn.
That just made me think of the siblings that go to our school that are named after the days of the week. Yeah.
Really?
Monday, Friday, Wednesday's their cousin. And I think they're like
they have a horse named Friday.
The horse is named Friday. I think like the next generation up are named like the months. Like it's crazy. Their family has like a long heritage of that. It's really cool. I think it's like a cultural thing. I don't know what I would name my kid. That's a good question. I would really have to think about that.
I want something short but also unique, like Knox. Or Knox, yeah, or Bear,
Mm-hmm.
or
well, the other thing I had to think of was like I don't want to give my kid like a name that someone can make fun of him for. Like I was like, oh, like what if I named my kid after Mac Miller and named him Mac? But then what if my kid is big and they call him Big Mac at school, right? Like that's not okay. I can't have my kid being bullied because of a decision I made to name him. Like, I don't know, like
Yeah.
maybe like Elijah. I like the name Elijah.
Of course. Michael's a
Michael
pretty
is a
cool
cool
name.
name. I don't know. I feel like Michael is like I think it would be
Very common.
I think it would be cool for you because you would be passing down the name. Like Michael the Second is like a strong title. Caleb the Second just doesn't have the same ring. You know, like Caleb's not a name I want to pass down.
Yeah. Maybe a name where it has like a twist to it. So like Mikhail or Caleb, but Cayeluhb.
But Cayeluhb, like twitch.tv/Cayeluhb.
Exactly.
I don't know what I would name my like. That's I don't know. Like I feel like a lot of people have thought about stuff like that, and I just like have given no thought to it at all. Like I know like a lot of people who are like, oh, like I would want like to name my kid Kyle because like da 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 and da da da, and they've like spent time thinking about it, and I'm just like, I've never really thought about my future like that because I don't know if I'm gonna have kids. I really don't.
And then you have to, like, if you have a partner,
Right.
if they want to have a certain name.
Right, because it's not just you, it's 50-50.
No, it's a fist fight. Whoever wins gets their name.
All right, well, that's a good question. Thank you, Ursula. Moving on to question number 3. Question number 3 comes from Jackson. Both of our last questions come from Jackson, so thank you, Jackson. If you have a question, please, by all means, email dbdcaleb@gmail.com, dbdcaleb@gmail.com, or you can join our Discord server, which is linked in the description below, and you can send questions directly to me in the Cayeluhb Podcast channel. So, I mean, like, what's better than that? So this question comes from Jackson, and Jackson asks, how can I get a better sleep schedule and, in general, be healthier?
I think sleep is the best way to be healthy, besides eating healthy. Like, I think sleep is the best way to be productive, the best way to be rejuvenated for your day.
Yeah.
So I think the best way to get sleep is to have a schedule and wake up at the same time every day. Maybe have one day where you don't wake up at 6:30 or something. Usually you want to keep it consistent and every day, especially on school days. You probably want to keep that same schedule from Monday through Saturday. Maybe sleep till 8 on Sunday, but then you want to have that whole thing as do it as much as possible.
For me, when I was getting up for a while in the midwinter for like 3-ish weeks, maybe a little longer, my sleep schedule was 11 to 5:30 because I was streaming till 10:30. Then I would give myself a half an hour to get to bed, and then I would wake up at 5 and I would go do weights, and I would do more strengthening, and I would run a mile, and then I'd come back, I'd shower, and I'd get ready for my day. And what I found with that was I felt a lot better, but I also felt exhausted, and I needed to take naps most days. And I think the secret to naps is a 20-minute power nap is really the move, because it's enough for you to recharge, but it's also short enough that you don't go into REM sleep and then you pass out forever.
I don't really have very many experiences with naps, but from my few naps that I've taken, I hate them completely.
Really?
I think that they just keep you up when you wake up. I'm not sure if I usually take longer naps, like an hour or two, but when I wake up from a nap, I usually feel like absolute dog garbage, and I don't want to eat. I don't want to sleep. I'm usually really sweaty, and my bed's soaked with sweat. And once I try to go to bed at night, I can't go to bed until like 1 in the morning.
That's the thing about, like, I think longer naps. When I was in the beginning of this year, I have last period study hall, so after school I would come home, and just like having very minimal to no social contact at all, and then going in and being in school for full days is really, really draining, and it takes a while to get back to what you were used to. And like every time I came back, and it would be, it was just like just end of summer, beginning of fall, so it was like 65 degrees outside, and I'd get in bed under the covers with my dog, and I'd sleep for like 40 minutes, and I'd wake up and I'd be like super sweaty and I'd feel terrible, and then I'd drag myself to practice, and then after running I felt better. But yeah, I definitely think that prolonged naps and like naps under too much heat will mess with you.
But they
They
so
do feel
good in the
great.
moment.
Well, the other thing is, if it's like a really good nap, you'll wake up and you won't know like who you are and where you are for like a solid like 30 seconds, and you'll be like, whoa.
That was
Yeah, dude, that's the
crazy,
beauty
dude.
of a good nap. But in other things, in just general being healthier, I would say exercise comes first. That's the first thing that came to my mind when I got this question. Definitely like doing as much exercise as you can. I would say like starting like 3 or 4 times a week, trying to exercise once a day, building that up to once a day, and then maybe building that up to twice a day. I know for me right now, I'm exercising constantly throughout the day because I'm doing 100 push-ups throughout the day, so I'll do like 20 when I wake up, 20, etc., etc. But like I'll do like 2 concentrated workouts, so one at practice when I'm running, and then when I get home before I go to bed, I'll do weights. So I think really diet and exercise go hand in hand, because calories in, calories out. But I think getting in good exercise and not too much. You don't want to overwork yourself and fatigue yourself and have nothing left. You want to still feel refreshed. Obviously, we're not going for bench PRs every day. But, I think focusing on eating like good and fueling your body right, I think really proteins in the morning, carbs in the afternoon, proteins at night has been what's worked for me. So just paying attention to not necessarily like, oh, this food item is really sugary, that's bad for me, I shouldn't eat it. But in the moment, I'm about to exercise, I should have something that's rich in complex carbohydrates, so I get this burst of energy for what I'm about to do. And that's like the idea of like taking a 5-hour energy before a race or something along those lines.
I think that exercising helps with your sleep as well. So if you're like gets you more tired, not sleeping right after you exercise, you're probably going to be hyped up and energized and you want to do more. But like once you get home, take a shower, relax a little bit, maybe eat a little bit, then you go to bed. That's like the perfect combo. And then once you wake up, it should be the morning, and then you should be ready to go to school or work out and do weights and 20 push-ups.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that working out will help you with sleep. And like I said before, on days when I was getting up and working out early, I felt really, really happy and really, really comfortable, even though I didn't feel the best. So like working out in the mornings, I found has made my days better.
I think once we did those really early runs, so like 5:30 in the morning, we'd go to the green. Those made your days feel like so much more productive and so much longer. Because like by noon, you'd be like, "Oh, that was only 6 hours ago. That felt like yesterday." So it makes you feel like you're doing more.
Those were so much fun. There was a day that we it was gonna snow, so we got up like 5:30, all met up like in the center of town, and we ran like 5 miles, and then we have a teammate who is a very trusted worker at Wendy's, so he was able to get us into Wendy's early, and we basically had like the place to ourselves to eat breakfast there, and it was sick. Which actually segues perfectly into our last question, from Jackson, who asks, how can I get a job? And on that matter, Mike has some very exciting news about getting a job.
I work at Wendy's now, I guess. Whoop whoop, Wendy's takeover, cross country.
We have 3 guys on our cross country track team, who are working at Wendy's. So, Mike, what was your process like for getting into Wendy's and working there? What was that like?
It was actually pretty easy. First, I was kind of I wanted a job, and I was like, Reese works at Wendy's. I might as well join in. So I looked at the wall at Wendy's, and it said, it showed the website to get onto it. So I went to the website, signed in, did whatever, and I was like, okay, you might get emailed or called by Wendy's to do an interview. And then a few days later, they called me and they're like, you want to do an interview tomorrow at 3:30? I was like, word. So today at 3:30, I missed practice, went to Wendy's. All I needed was my permit and my like some informational cards. I don't even remember what they were. But then you go in, they're like, you're hired. Here's some information. Fill out this thing on that you get emailed, and come back. We'll tell you to come back in a few days to pick up a form, bring it to the school, and you'll be good. And I was like, it was super duper easy.
Nice. What questions did they ask you in the interview?
They didn't ask me any questions. It wasn't an interview. It was an acceptance letter.
Isn't that nice?
I know, they just knew how good I was already.
So for me, I've worked 2 to 3-ish jobs, you could say.
Include
right,
Torch,
so
by the
that's
way.
4. When I was, I think 15, like maybe like 16, because 16 is the working age. So I started at 16. I started working at the tennis club in town. Little known fact about twitch.tv/Cayeluhb. I was a really good tennis player before I started running. I was good enough that I was coaching like 10-year-olds and 12-year-olds to their team. We did not win the championship while I was there, unfortunately, but we made it to the quarterfinals, which was pretty cool. So I was spending a lot of time there playing tennis, and the process of that was somewhere that I'd like grown up kind of playing. I didn't always play there. There was a point in time I was going a few towns over to play because lessons were a lot cheaper a few towns over, and there was a coach I really liked there. And that one's when I was younger. That was when I was like 13, 12. But I had come back to play in their summer leagues. I won a doubles tournament in one of their summer leagues. So after a while of working there, the head coach Matt approached me and said, "Hey, we really like what you're doing here. We think you would be a great fit to be an employee here." And he gave me a few forms to fill out, and I filled those out, and I gave them back to him. And I mean, that was pretty much the process of it for me. I didn't have to interview or anything because they already knew me really well. That's something that I think is a definite great thing, is when you have a place that people know you at, that you're comfortable with. I think that's like a really nice place where you can work. So if you have a place like that that you've been going to for like a good chunk of your life, just go in and ask, are you guys hiring? Are you guys looking for any help right now? I'd love to work for you guys. And then if that doesn't work, Wendy's, McDonald's, just like Mike just said, yeah,
come join us.
Go in and join.
What were your hours like?
Let's see. I taught from 9 to 11 on weekends, always, because that was when Greenball met. And then
both days or just Saturdays?
No, both days.
Both Saturday and Sunday.
And then I came in like to spot for some coaches during the summer. They would have me help run the camps, so that was Monday through Friday for about 2 months. They had me working about 3 days a week for 4 hours, so that's like 12 hours a week. But it's not like it wasn't like a serious It wasn't a seriously like dedicated job. It wasn't something that was really strenuous.
You don't have to go home and do extra work.
Yeah, and I'm not flipping patties. I'm out in the sun teaching kids how to play tennis. It was definitely, like, for what I was doing and the hours I was getting, it was definitely worth it. But the best part of the job was sometimes they would have an older guy come in, and he would have like a private lesson, and he had to take his kid in with him. And they had a little room called the playroom, where the kids would go when their parent was being coached, and they would be like, okay, you're here from like 6 to 10, and like this kid's gonna come in at 8, this kid's gonna come in at 7. And it was so nice because the kids would entertain themselves, and you would just sit there and chill. And every now and then, one of them would start kicking the shit out of the other. You'd say, hey, quit it, and you get him off him.
That's my job.
And then it was an awesome joint, because I mean, you would just chill and not do anything. And then sometimes you had like a really fun kid. I had a kid, Landon, who was awesome. Landon would come take selfies with me on Snapchat and put the filters on. He was one of my favorites. Like it was just easy money. You were literally just chilling there. So that was awesome. Do you know what your Wendy schedule is gonna look like yet?
I told him like after practice every day, and then after practice on Saturday, and then all day Sunday. So they haven't given me hours yet, but one of my friends just got a job as well. He would go to these car shows, and he would take pictures of the cars. He likes photography and stuff, and he loves cars. So, and these owners from these dealerships would also be at the car shows, and they would notice him there. And they would see him there and be like, yo, you want to come to our car shop and take pictures of our cars and help people find which car they want? And now he goes there and makes $20 an hour or something. Wow. He makes a bunch of money just taking pictures of cars for a few hours, 3 hours, 4 hours a week.
That's a sick job. What a hookup. All right. Well, congratulations on your new job. In conclusion, if you want a job, Jackson, I think the best thing you can do is just find someone that's hiring and start applying. Worst thing that happens is you get turned down. And best thing that happens is they accept your application and you start working there. I mean, that's really all I think it comes down to. So thank you guys for listening to this episode. I had a great time here with Mike. Connor plugged his socials. Eli and Shriffy did not. So it's your call as to whether or not you want to.
Okay. I just got Twitter. I don't use it for anything. I literally just follow Steam, Discord, and I think Microsoft or something. So if you want to follow my Twitter and see absolutely nothing, it's probably just Masotmic,
MASOTMIC.
Exactly.
And in addition to those pages, you're also, of course, as soon as we get off this, going to go follow twitter.com/TTV Cayeluhb, CAYELUHB.
Sure.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for the listen. My name is Cayeluhb. You can find my Twitch linked in the description, as well as my Spotify, the Discord server, and my email. Again, if you have any questions, please drop in an email. I need more questions, and I would really love to hear what you guys want to hear about. Mike, you want to outro us here?
Do I make
you can
a
say
outro
whatever
song?
You want, Mike.
Booty booty boo, booty booty boo, Cayeluhb.
Yeah, that was
good.
perfect. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a great night.